Thank you, everybody, for joining today. We're really grateful for your time. As Higuchi-san just pointed out, I'm going to be working off of two presentations. And actually, the more important of the two is the second one about the capital injection. So I'll go quickly through the Q3 results and move on to the other lengthier presentation. So let's jump into it. Next page. Look, it was a light quarter. I mean, it's actually terrible out there. If you see the results coming out of our display peers, significant losses. You know, we're also generating losses, but the quarter was actually, relatively on target. Far more fundamental than that, as we jump to the fourth bullet point, we are revising down our full year forecast. So the fourth quarter is going to be worse than the third. And then finally, what's most important, and I'll talk about that at some length, is that we've done a capital injection, which is really transformational for our ability to finance what we think is a winning strategy, and I'll go into that at some length. But anyway, let's run forward. Next page, please. You can see we missed the forecast, which we of course tried to avoid doing that on sales, on operating earnings. OP was off a little bit. We actually came in above on net income because we did a Chinese subsidiary sale at a better level. But anyway, I don't think it's really fundamental. Today's discussion is what the third quarter looked like. It was kind of relatively flat against forecast. Next page, please. On a year-on-year basis, we had targeted this year to be worse, unfortunately. That was not the plan 18 months ago, but all things have fallen out of bed across the market, and so we're off on a year-on-year basis. Next page, please. You can see the kind of the waterfall in terms of what's happening again against the forecast. Relatively flat on a full-year basis. Negative. We do benefit from having a weaker yen. You can see volume and product mix coming off on the right-hand side. That's almost entirely a volume. Hasn't been much change in terms of the product mix. Next page, please. So unfortunately, we're looking at a downward revision based on a kind of a deteriorating market environment. And it means we need to make some big changes, and I'll talk to that. So this year is going to be worse than last year. And that is, if I can put it pretty directly, unacceptable. And so we're going to make some I'll go through kind of what the plan is to take us forward in a much better way. Next page, please. This kind of reiterates what happens on a full year basis, on an OP basis. I would point out, I mean, look, I said it's unacceptable that the biggest move here is kind of an inventory write down that we're putting into the forecast. It's not clear we're actually going to have to do the inventory write down, which is to say we try to manage the firm in a very conservative way, keep our promises to all of you. So we've taken kind of a little bit of conservative position on it. But in any way you think about it, this is a firm that has the ability to be robustly profitable, and we're not at those levels. And so that is truly unacceptable, and we're going to get there. Next page, please. So the one thing that we have had to do is we looked at ourselves turning profitable next fiscal period, which starts in April. Given how negative the operating environment is, and again, I would refer to kind of every leading display technology company in the world to look at their earnings to see how bad it is out there right now. And by the way, to give you some color on that, we're still seeing the inability to ship full product to auto customers because of a severe analog IC shortage. So this is not kind of cutting edge process semiconductors. These are legacy process semiconductors that are still in a shortage. So we're not shipping as much as we can in the auto sector. We're number 2 in the world in displays for automobiles, and we're kind of overwhelmingly number 1 in the kind of major markets of the U.S. and Europe. So the negative effects that are happening in terms of total auto sales are deeply impact us. Consumer is actually far worse than that, which is just kind of seeing a falling out of bed with over kind of ordering and inventories on smartphones, for example, significant lightness in the VR space, where we're number one in the world. So we're taking some impact from that. But anyway, so the current operating environment is very difficult. And so we need to look very hard at FY23 looks like. Probably do end up pushing down what we had numbers for this. At the moment, we've kind of withdrawn our numbers and said we're going to look hard at them. I would point out that, and I'll talk about this in the next presentation, the going forward looks better, not worse, better. We've got kind of a significant set of new technologies that we're bringing to market. They come in 2024 and 2025 in a pretty serious way. But we will have to take a look at what the short term looks like. So that's what I have on this presentation. For better or worse, you're not done with me now. Let's move to the next one, which is about the capital injection. So let's go to the first slide, which is a summary. So let me spend some time with you on this, because this is really fundamental to JDI. Who we are, who we're going to be, and where we take ourselves forward. And so the first thing to point out is we have been a chronic money loser. I mean, let's not hide from it. So there is a need to rethink and rework our business model. And frankly, it's a need across the entire industry. But since we kind of reached this conclusion earlier and have made kind of some significant decisions to change who we are, I would suggest that we're well advanced in getting to where we need to be. Just to give you some background, our current profitability is based on decisions about who we want to be as a firm, and specifically which product markets we want to participate in, made kind of really 4 or 5 years ago. And so our fundamental problem is that we have a group of products right now that, and I'm jumping to the third point here, where despite having kind of arguably, I think it's not even arguable at this point, we have retaken technology leadership in the global display industry. So we have this extraordinary capability in displays, which are fundamental technology for modern life. I mean, there's a lot of work going on in semiconductors and compute, and we understand that compute is fundamental to the world. We would also suggest that rich visualization displays that everyone uses, everyone personally in business, commercial, industrial, military, is also very fundamental to the world that we live in. And we are kind of the technology leader. And despite that, we've taken our technology resources and put them into commodity display businesses. So I joined JDI 3 years ago. One of the first things I did is sat down with Nakajima-san, who's our CTO, who is here today, and looked at our technology roadmap. And we made some decisions about where we're going to put our resources and develop technologies that are not just, to use a baseball analogy, singles and doubles, but home runs and grand slams. And the truth of the matter is we have gotten there. We have extraordinary capabilities. So on the fourth bullet point, we have developed proprietary, global #1 technologies that are game changers. And we're going to begin shipping them in size, starting the next kind of really 18 months to the world's top technology companies. And so what really has to happen for us to become kind of the robustly profitable, and if not dominant, technology firm in the display space. And so I just did a Japanese earnings call. I mean, just you can probably tell from my accent, I'm American, but through no talent of my own, I learned Japanese as a boy. And talked about kind of, how Japanese companies generally have kind of small ambitions. And, we're a Japanese company with a lot of ambition. We think that is fully supported by the set of capabilities that we have. So today's capital injection, and I'll talk about that in some detail, is all about, we've got a winning strategy. It's the METAGROWTH 2026 strategy, which is we're going to focus on global #1 technologies that no one else can deliver. And we're going to push really hard at it, and we're going to deliver on it. And just to make one final point on why we need to be financially strong for that, the implication of that is, in a world where frequently the major tech companies and the major auto companies, because again, we're huge in that space, are looking for multiple suppliers. If they're going to buy only from JDI because we have something that no one else has, they want to make sure we're financially viable. Because these are, in certain cases, could even be bet firm decisions in terms of their technology product set. So getting ourselves to financially bulletproof is really important for us delivering technology to our customers, and we're responding to that with today's announcement on the capital injection. So let's move forward. I think it's probably 2 pages. Next page. So 6 things we announced today. One is that we're going to lend from Ichigo JDI 20 billion yen to repay a 20 billion yen short-term loan from INCJ, so that's the Japanese government. That was going to be paid with proceeds from the sale of our business, the Chinese subsidiary I mentioned in Suzhou. Unfortunately, with the deteriorating sales environment, we built up a bunch of inventory, so we need to borrow some money from Ichigo to repay it. So 1, that happens. 2, Ichigo is buying all of JDI's debt from INCJ. And the result of that is that JDI no longer has any obligations to INCJ. 3, Ichigo is forgiving 15 billion yen of that debt. That helps to finance JDI because JDI no longer has an obligation with respect to that. It also increases JDI's capital and strengthens its financial position. 4, INCJ is also making a sacrifice. They are returning all the Class A preferreds to JDI. That's actually worth about 20 billion yen for free, and JDI is canceling those shares. 5, Ichigo and JDI are doing a debt equity swap at the closing share price of 45 yen per share, which is yesterday. So the result of that is JDI goes debt-free. I mean, it is utterly transformational in terms of our financial position. It removes issues about kind of can we get these products to customers even if they want them, and I can assure you they want them. So this is really, really important. And the 6th element is JDI is giving warrants to Ichigo, again at 45 yen per share. And this is a dialogue with the market, with all of you. We think this is a winning strategy. We think we're going to deliver outstanding returns. These are struck at 45 yen. If the shares are above that level, then the money will come into JDI, and we have a use of proceeds that I'll describe on the next page. Next page, please. There are a number of things that we can do with the warrants. Most fundamental to them is driving forward hard on the METAGROWTH strategy, which again, to repeat myself, but this is what's so important. You have to understand, I think we all understand this, in the business or as an investor in a business, what's gone right and what's gone wrong. What's gone wrong in our case is we've taken our technology assets, put them into commodity product, which don't generate a return. So METAGROWTH 2026 brings that to an end. We are focused overwhelmingly on JDI proprietary technologies. And so, what exists today in terms of the business model is we have a technology set which is also available from 5 other very good global display competitors. And so customers say, we want that technology, and then they go to, say, oh, who's going to sell to us at the lowest price? And we're changing that business model to, we're not going to participate in those markets, and so these other guys can fight among themselves. And by the way, you see how kind of pro-cyclical and negative participating in those markets can be in a time like this, where it's like, we have products we're selling to customers, and then the customer comes and says, these other, your peer, which is the second source on this, has said they're going to willing to do it for 20% lower because they want to fill their fab. What's your price? We cannot participate in that market. Doesn't make sense, not going to do it. And so we're going to offer, and I'll go into some detail with you today, a set of technologies that are available only from us. So anyway, we've got a whole bunch of use of proceeds that can be used should the warrants be exercised. Let's talk about METAGROWTH. And this is not new. So I said accelerate it because we need to make a choice as to, are we doing the right things in terms of transforming our product portfolio? And again, the problem with our earnings right now is that we actually don't have our METAGROWTH proprietary technologies shipping in any sort of size today. We're going to make this huge transition in the product portfolio over the beginning of the next 18 months, and fundamentally it's going to happen entirely within kind of the next 36 months. And we're going to we're going to just generate a lot more value. So the focus is on global number one technologies, taking that leadership, and we feel comfortable we've done that. Next page. So Meta, this is meant to be a comprehensive presentation. It's also kind of information we provided before, so I'm gonna run forward so you don't have to listen to me forever. So this is gonna run forward. Let's go directly to the 6 key growth drivers that we mentioned. So can we go to the 6 drivers, please? Okay. So one of the things that we also think is important is not only do you take technology leadership, you don't make kind of outsized bets with respect to the future. Technology A is going to win. Technology C is going to win. Yeah, maybe A and C, win. Look, we're pretty confident that OLED, which is an extraordinary capable technology in terms of delivering high performance, thin, low energy consumption displays, is a winning technology. We can talk about kind of some of the competitors. I mean, there's a certain amount of conversation going on right now. For example, about micro LED. It's a perfectly great technology. It's also extraordinarily expensive and hard to produce. And we have a technology set there, and if the world goes to micro LED, we expect to be a participant there. But we think OLED is just got a phenomenal set of technology characteristics and price performance. It's got some problems, and I'll talk about how we solve for those problems. But anyway, so we've got a breakthrough technology in OLED called eLeap, and we have other technologies. And so where we're going with this is when you have literally 7 or 8 or 9 technologies simultaneously coming to the market that we're the best in the world, no one else can provide, we don't need all of them to win. And so that's an important part of having not just a single technology bet, but a technology portfolio rooted in our capabilities in glass semiconductors. Displays are a semiconductor technology business. So we've got eLeap, we've got HMO, I'll talk about this, high mobility oxide, which is also revolutionary. Those are both, we're the only people in the world there, company in the world producing those. Metaverse, ultra high resolution, we're number 1 in the world. Next page, please. Auto tech, head-up display. We're going to be able to use some of our other technologies, not all, including eLeap and HMO. We're also number 1 in the world in head-up displays. Real clear, we're number 1 in the world in this. In fact, we're the only company capable of shipping a two-way transparent interface. We also have new tech products and businesses that are coming. I'll go into some specific details to give you some granularity on this, because look, these technologies and the value they deliver to customers and how they deliver value is critically important to their robustness as both technologies and as a source of earnings for the firm. But I'm not going to go through every single detail in the presentation for the benefit of all of you. Meaning, you're not going to have to stick with me for another 20 pages. So let's run forward. eLeap stands for environmental positive, lithography with maskless deposition, extreme long life, low power and high luminance, and any-shape patterning. Turning to the next page. What's critically important about this technology, and it is revolutionary, and it's kind of head-breakingly revolutionary. It's maskless. All OLED displays in the world are currently made with so-called fine metal mass, FMMs. And you can see, kind of, you've got these on the screen. The screen's right in front of me. You've got this all conventional OLED. You've got all this black space, so you only have 28% visibility from the kind of generation of light from the pixels. We double that in eLeap to 60%. That's really all about. This is actually molecular deposition, but when you use a metal mask, it's kludgy and it gets in the way, and you can't be as precise. And so with our eLeap technology, you get 2 times brightness out of it. OLED, you get 3 times lifetime. You can see, as you can see, the problem with conventional OLED, and this is part of the reason why it's suffered in trying to enter the auto market, which needs durability, is that it burns itself out over time. eLeap has got 3 times the lifetime. That's in part because if you have higher degree of kind of aperture ratio, it's called, higher pixels on per density, in the substrate, it means you can run less voltage through it, and so it enables you to have a longer life. So anyway, it's not only higher performance. Where I'm going with this is because you don't use mass, you don't have to take down your factory constantly. Remove the mass and clean the mess. And it has environmental benefits, but it also means your factory utilization, capacity utilization goes up with eLeap, probably 20 to 30%. Where I'm going is better performance, lower cost. That is what JDI is delivering to the world. Next page, please. Won't go into the ecological elements of it, but just because we don't have mass, we're also not using toxic chemicals to clean all the mass. You don't have environmental pollution to water. You decrease your CO2 emissions. It's a really very powerful ecological technology. Next page, please. HMO, again, first in the world. We're the only people delivering this. And here the unparalleled performance comes from a simultaneous combination, again, of outstanding performance and lower costs. So oxide is a mature backplane technology. Backplanes are what you use to drive signals to the front plane, which will be things like OLED and LCDs. Every display has a backplane. Common backplane technologies is things like oxide, LTBS, LTBO, amorphous silicon. So oxide is great in the sense that it's mature and it's cheap to manufacture, and it's low energy consuming. Unfortunately, it's incredibly slow and gives you really poor performance. And so we have solved that with kind of this head braking, similar to maskless deposition in ELAPE, high mobility oxide, which has never existed before. And what you get with that is you get the single best performance and lowest power consumption, literally taking display power consumption down by 40%. So it is enormously powerful breakthrough technology. We begin shipping ELAPE next year. HMO we begin shipping also. Next page, please. Next page. Let me talk a little bit about the metaverse. We'll all find out together how huge it's going to be. We are number one in the world in the technology and our market share. And to go again to why we exist to deliver, if you want to deliver better value to consumers, it needs to be at a good price. And so what I've shown on the page here is we are the only company in the world shipping 1200 PPI or higher displays. They're being used in VR applications. If you actually put displays in silicon, it's pretty straightforward to go up to like 2000 PPI. It just is. And so when you say, 1200 PPI, how interesting is that? I mean, actually it's super, super important for VA applications because you're using these lenses. They're generally 7x to 10x lenses. So actually the experience you get as a user to use a 10x lens on a 1200 PPI is only 120. And to give you some sense of this, your smartphone high-end is going to be 400 to 500 PPI. So this is, so these are high levels of resolution. But where I'm going with this is they're on glass. Glass is incredibly cost effective. And so, yeah, we could do 2,000 PPI, 3,000 PPI on silicon. That's 7 times the cost. And companies do that. It just doesn't fit the consumer requirement for having extraordinary high resolution at a low price. And again, JDI is about having the maximum best cost performance. We are not about having the most expensive technology in the world that's the best. We're about having the best technology in the world at a price point that is utterly compelling for the consumer. And that is why we lead in the metaverse space. Our capabilities on the ability to do a high resolution on glass is unmatched. No other company can do what we do. Next page, please. I'll jump forward because there's a lot of information here. But we're really good at giving people high quality experiences at high resolutions. Anyway, next page, please. Keep on running forward. JDI inside. Next page. So we're number one in head-up displays also. By the way, I'm guessing not very many. I mean, I think about 10 to 15% of cars in the world are using head-up displays right now. Part of the reason why you don't have a bigger market for this is because HUDs actually require a certain amount of space up in the dashboard. And combustion engines, they're big, they're in front, they take up space. It's always been a problem to figure out whether or not you want to use that space for a head-up display. The good news is that EVs, electric vehicles, do not have the same requirement. So suddenly you have the ability to put a head-up display in EVs in a way that you didn't with combustion engines. So that is a huge driver. And again, we're number one in the world in this technology, number one market share for the market growth for this. And look, this is an incredibly important safety feature. People look down in order to see what's going on their dashboard. Instead, you can put it right in front of them on the screen. You can provide them with other information. So we're very excited about what this means for our ability to deliver this. safety improvement to drivers all over the world in EVs. Next page, please. Real Clear is the world's first fully transparent display. Next page, please. To be clear, not only it has glass-like transparency and no other company is able to produce it. This is a proprietary JID technology. It is also multi-directional, which is to say, people have had transparent, displays. We're calling this a transparent interface because it has increasingly broad kind of usage. But people have had these displays that kind of aren't super transparent, and they're only transparent from one direction. This is the only technology set in the world which is two-way transparent. It's glass-like, and people from both sides can see through it. Next page, please. And you can see some sense of how that works in the environment. I'll bring it to a close there. We've got a whole bunch of technologies that are coming out. We have, for example, 3 internal ventures. We've only that report directly to me with new technologies that we think are really important. One of them we've already announced is in this presentation. It's called LumiFree. It's the first technology in the world that it takes lighting and makes it flexible and free as opposed to fixed. There are 2 others in the life sciences area that we haven't announced yet in terms of what the product's going to be, but are both very, very important to our future. I'll bring it to a close there. There's other information in the presentation. I'm grateful if you wanted to look at it, but I don't want to talk to you too endlessly. So just to come back where we were. We did a major capital injection today to put us in the place where we can deliver on these global #1 technologies, which will be transformational for our profitability and transformational for our customers. They need this from us. We have customers, to give a very real example, we got our first confirmed contracted customer order for eLeap last week. So a bunch of conversations going on. We're going to have a lot more contracts and a lot more shipments of eLeap going forward, but the very first one, it is so strategic for the customer. I can't talk about what the details are. It's a non-Japanese firm. They really, really need us to be there for them. They intend to be the first client in the world to deliver eLeap technology to their customers. It is the way they're going to differentiate themselves. And we need to be of the financial wherewithal to win, to be around for them, and deliver this kind of technology that no one else has. So it's really very important what we announced today, and I thank you for joining today's call, and I hope you'll stay with us and watch the way we execute on this and deliver the METAGROWTH technology to the world. At this point, I'm done. Happy to take any and all questions or comments. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. It's a tough time in the world. Take care, be safe.